According to the JED Foundation, a survey conducted with college students that asked what mental illness that they struggle with the most, a good 82% of them showed that they struggled with anxiety. But what is the cause of this anxiety? Good afternoon, my name is Asil Halwani, and I will be speaking today about American college curriculum and student anxiety. My research question is, to what extent does the school curriculum in America affect the anxiety of students in college? My thesis is that the American college curriculum does affect the anxiety of students in many ways. And this ties in to the stimulus as shown in the article of disobedience, where a good majority of this anxiety in the students comes from them taking classes that are not their level at all, just for the sake of simple social status. And in the disobedience article, the author writes about how sometimes it's necessary to put your foot down and say no to something if you know it hurts you or hurts others. The most common forms of anxiety in college are shown in math-related, science-related, and foreign language-related subjects. In math-related anxiety, NIH, National Institute of Health worker, Silke Lutenberger, made a study and research on math anxiety in civilians who were enrolled in the American college curriculum. As shown in this graph, 69.9% of student adults showed that they face math anxiety. This is because college courses tend to be more intensive in math, whether that is something as simple as just basic addition or calculus. And he also states here that math anxiety has been defined as feelings of apprehension and increased psychological reactivity when individuals deal with math, such as when they have to manipulate numbers, solve mathematical problems, or when they are exposed to an evaluative situation connected to math. And such anxiety comes from when teachers have to challenge their students instead of just giving them the same questions. And when they challenge their students, they give them harder questions which they sometimes feel like they're not prepared for, and in turn develop anxiety because they don't know whether or not they could actually solve such questions. In science-related anxiety, it's quite different from math-related though, because in science, in college, science courses tend to be more towards lab application than teaching a new field in science. For example, in chemistry and biology, new things are being discovered almost every day. And for example, in chemistry, there could be a new process to do a certain type of experiment or conduct a certain type of study. And if the teacher does not know whether or not this study is correct or can be performed well and cost effectively in a lab, this can lead to the student himself or herself feeling anxious and developing that low self-esteem because they don't know. If the teacher doesn't know, then they don't know. That's how they feel. And a researcher in Turkey by the name of Namudar İzzet Kurbangolo is a professor who wrote an article about teacher and student relations in science classes, and she states that a positive relationship between teachers and students can increase students' academic achievement by improving their motivation. So saying that if teachers can hide certain new things that come up, it can actually help the student performance by making them feel more confident in their ability to learn and conduct labs. In foreign language anxiety, however, this anxiety comes from not the teachers or the students, but kind of from their self-esteem. This is because, as shown in this pie chart by the Foreign Language Enrollment Survey, more than 72.4% of college students enrolled in Chinese, and the other majorities were Russian and Arabic. And these three languages are not Latin-based, and they're very, very difficult to learn, especially at an entry level. And when students are faced with the challenge of learning a language that is unlike anything that they have ever learned before, they start to develop anxiety on whether or not they'll ever be able to speak, write, or hear and understand this language like a native. A Chinese researcher who wrote an article on Chinese education in America, her name is Aping Zhao, and she states that the different writing systems of Chinese and English require different graphic, geographical, phonological, and semantic processing activities in recognizing words, thus saying that people who are enrolled in courses that are non-Latin based or any language at all have to develop a brand new mindset, and this could be very off-putting for certain students and such. So in conclusion, as shown, the American college curriculum does in fact affect the anxiety of students enrolled in there. And tying back to the stimulus, these classes are not by any means necessary to graduate. They're just taking this usually for social status or because their parents want to see them succeed and take harder things. So in conclusion, it does affect the anxiety of students, and thank you.
Adil, 2 questions for you. First up, how valid and reliable were the sources that you used, and then how do you know they were?
So one of the sources is actually from my mom. She's a professor, a PhD graduate, and I know all of her peers reviewed the article for her, and the other ones are from studies from well-known academic sources such as the National Institute of Health and such.
Okay, and if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct?
I would have conducted more research on self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is when a student or even teacher has enough self-esteem in themselves. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but that they can operate at certain levels without worry at all. So it does tie a role in anxiety in subjects.
We're done, my